Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Showing Up For You. I'm Shon.
And I am Jasmine.
And we're just happy to be here. Every week I do look forward to having these conversations. But I'm not gonna lie, it's always so fun because it's like a production for us.
Yes.
Because because we're used to having these conversations by ourselves. And even though, we're in season 2, it's still like funny having them in front of you guys. So thanks for making it. Look at me. I'm like all over the place.
Right. Somebody get hurt. Just kidding.
I know. And it doesn't help that I'm like, so y'all, I'm heavy breathing all through these episodes. And anyway, we're just excited. We're just excited.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm not excited about is, okay, so I told you guys we live in Washington, and Washington has been tricking us. Like, we thought that we had some nice weather.
Yes.
Like, the other day was really, really, like, it looked hot. Okay, so I have big windows in my house, and I love, like, natural lighting, and it looked hot. And I know to check the weather app, but I kid you not, like, I just was so fooled by how beautiful it looked.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, I walk outside, and it was like those cartoons where it just starts raining. So anybody that lives in Washington knows, like, we always have some kind of windbreaker or rain jacket. Nobody uses an umbrella.
Nobody.
But
you can tell who's not from here, though.
I know. Have you seen that? Like, yes. You're like, oh,
right, like cute. You just don't know anything.
Oh, right. It's cute. And we understand it, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if we went to another state and, it was like normal to have high winds or over 100 degrees, and we'd be like, oh, right. y'all okay?
Right.
I'm glistening over
like
here.
Like Washingtonians who go to like Florida and it's 60 degrees and they're like in shorts and a tank top.
Yeah.
People down there like, I have full long sleeves on.
I know.
What are you doing?
My dad will call me. I'm from California, and my dad will call me and be like, oh man, I woke up and it was 50 degrees, and so I had to layer up. And I'm like, I wish it was 50 degrees here. I would wear my Birkenstocks and racerbacks.
I was so fooled last weekend too. I'm not gonna
trust
lie.
issues.
Absolutely. I'm like, leave it to Washington just to be like, hey, whatever. But like you said, it looks beautiful. The sun is out. Lived here majority of my life. You'd think I would know by now.
We get excited. We're human. We're human.
We do.
We get excited. And then for me, I have kids and they're like, but look. And I'm like, let's learn the hard way today, guys.
Right.
Sure,
so go
I'll
outside in a short sleeve.
Keep that right. I'll keep their windbreakers like in my bag. And I'm like, sure, let's see. And I've done that. Like because we were living in Hawaii. And my daughter's like, this is different. Why do I have to wear shoes that cover my feet? Like, it was horrible.
That poor girl. She was like, we were living luxurious.
Yeah, she went from literally like not wearing shoes or like wearing like thong sandals or just sandals to like boots. And she just felt so like trapped and so closed in. Oh, she hated it.
Right.
I'm so sorry for her. Anyway.
Poor girl. Yeah. It's the woes of living in Washington. What is it? Like, people out here say you get winter pre-spring. You get winter again, and then you actually get spring.
I know. But then, like, okay, summers are a fraction of the summers are perfect.
Yes. Literally perfect.
It's like those few weeks in August. Right?
Yes. It's like the 5th to like the 23rd.
I know. And then it's like back to school. You're like, this is summer. This part feels like summer.
Yeah.
So, dang, like, it sounds like Washington is great, though.
Yeah,
so.
we love it. We love it here.
We love it here.
Hey, it's so wonderful. We're not looking forward to sunshine at all.
So convincing.
I know, right? We're trying. We just wanted to share our woes of sunshine. So wherever you are in the world, we hope that you're having good weather.
I know. Better you than us, I guess.
Seriously. So even today, it poured down rain.
Oh, see, that's why I stayed in. Like, I stayed in. I was like, you know what? I'm not ready for these trust issues today.
No.
I don't.
It was cozy season weather, and we're going to gear up to be cozy today on Showing Up For You. We don't got choice. I have been thinking about something recently that has been brought to my attention.
Give it to me.
And it's fairly new.
Okay, give it to me.
There is this new coin term, I think it's probably come within the last 3 years or so.
Okay.
Called toxic gratitude. Have you heard of it?
No. What is it? Like, who coined, or tell me.
Psychologists, people, you know, in the like therapy, mental health realm, like, you know, people who study that, they've been talking about something called toxic gratitude. And I was like, how is gratitude toxic? I'm like, it's a good thing.
Yeah, because it sounds like, okay. Yeah, if I unpacked that without knowing.
Totally.
Then I could think negative things.
So, today, I'm excited for us to talk through this and what it means and all the things. And we're actually going to take the time to unpack this over 2 episodes.
Nice.
Because, you know, there's so much that that we can learn. And I think, you know, as we're in season 2, we've had the opportunity to engage with so many people, which has been like super amazing. And we're so grateful. Like, we're grateful for everybody who gives us feedback, you know, who starts conversations with us, you know, whether it's commenting on a post, sending us a personal DM. Even, I know I've had so many friends be like, I've shared this episode with people and we're talking about it. And I love
conversation starters, right?
Yes.
Like, I do enjoy hearing that.
Yeah. So that's just been super incredible. And, you know, I know that with this episode, I'm really looking forward to what our conversation is going to come about it and how we unpack it.
Okay, so then you're gonna have to walk me through this. So, tell me about toxic gratitude.
So, I'm gonna give examples because that's how I feel like I best learned kind of like what, or having understanding. So, some examples of what toxic gratitude could look like is believing that you don't have the right to feel how you feel because others have it worse. And in quote, why can't you just be happy for all that you have?
Oh my God.
Right. You should feel lucky that you've survived blank. Okay. Because it could have been so much worse. And you should feel grateful for the life, for your life. Others don't have it like you.
Okay. Okay, so then yeah, I think I know I have experienced that. And go back to your first one.
First one, believing you don't have the right to feel how you feel because others have it worse.
Oh my God. Okay, so that's applicable in like so many areas of my life. Like, it's not even funny. Like, are you saying that like we're not like celebrating ourselves in a situation because we don't think that we deserve it, or we think that or we're not celebrating the small wins because like somebody else could be doing worse, like almost like humbling our appreciate. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's something that came across my mind is like almost like a false humility involved.
Well, that's not fair because like what if I earned it? Like what if I like, I don't know, like what if I worked for it and I want to celebrate however I want to celebrate. And you're saying that the toxic gratitude is when we are either told or like, it's, I guess, what it sounds like a learned behavior. We feel like simmer down, like don't
make it too big.
Okay, don't make it too big. And you're saying this all relates to comparing to somebody else, or
comparing to, I think what I've taken away from toxic gratitude is it is a big comparison to what other people's lives could look like.
Well, then in that case, it can go 2 different ways, because it could be like, oh my God, I got the job that I've always wanted, and now I'm gonna like blast it all over social network, and I'm gonna gloat about it, and then I feel like maybe I should chill out because that sounds like bragging. It could be that.
Yes.
Or it could be like, man, like I didn't get the job I wanted, but I did get a job, and I just don't feel satisfied in this job. But then feeling like, well, there's somebody that doesn't have a job, so you should be grateful you have a job. So you need to be happier about this mediocre job,
right?
Rather than like having the right to feel unaccomplished because I know I worked hard for this other job,
other position, right? And I think that's the thing that honestly like stumped me so much. Like, again, I'm still learning so much about this and trying to unpack it, but you know, when I first heard it, it's like that piece of it that I'm not allowed to feel like negative emotions. Because it's like when you take gratitude, it's happy, it's supposed to be this big, like, beautiful, wrapped in a bow, you know, something looks great, but I'm not allowed to feel disappointment, you know, as some could say, because that's, people see that as a negative emotion. Or I'm not allowed, you know, to feel just like anything else. Like, I have to be like the overly positive, like you said, but at least I have a job. At least I can pay my bills. You know, at least I can do these things. But that then diminishes my dissatisfaction.
Or my drive to work for the job that I really wanted. Okay, so that is something that I think I struggle with, and I didn't have, I guess I never called it anything. But like, when I got married, I would say I was at the top of my game.
Prime at her prime.
And my husband is amazing. Like, he supported it, but there were just things that were out of our control because he was in the military. And so the first year of our marriage was me having to say no to a lot of big opportunities. And oh my God, it hurt. It hurt very badly. But I was like, there were things that I couldn't control about, you know, the military. And it wasn't like my husband was like, no, don't do the thing. He was like, this is what we signed up for, and I'm very sorry, but we can't do this thing because we have to do this thing. And so I remember confiding in people, just plural, and feeling like I really want to do my thing. I really want to, I didn't get my degree for nothing. I didn't go through internships and understudies and all this experience and these jobs for nothing. And so then later on I have kids, right? And even during this like pandemonium, right? A lot of mamas and a lot of dads will tell you like you're forced to be a homeschool teacher. Like, for a minute, we all had to put that on our resume. I need to update my resume, actually.
Yes, you do.
But like, we all had to put that on our resume. Grades. I'm telling you. So it was like, I remember this season of, this is not what I want. I love my children. And if you know me, I will find a way to be the best at whatever it is. If you give me a task, I will hone in on it and I will perfect it. Yeah. And that's because I truly believe in, like, as a family, we have to get the thing done. But inside, I was just miserable. And I didn't, like, it's not my kid's fault. It's not my husband's fault. It's nobody's fault. It's just that this is the role I have to play. Yeah. And I remember just having this feeling of, well, you get to, a lot of people are struggling right now. You get to stay home with your kids. Like, your husband is providing and supplying enough for you to stay home and not have to work. And it was like this, I should feel rewarded. Like, I should feel proud and happy that I get to, quote unquote, stay home, be the teacher, and not have any responsibilities outside the household. When that's beautiful for someone that wants that. Yeah. I don't have any ill feelings towards women that want that. Yeah. That is an amazing thing when you can. Absolutely. Right? But there's a lot of us that don't want that. There's a lot of us that don't desire to be stay-at-home moms. Yeah. That doesn't mean that we don't want to be active in our children's lives, or that we don't want to, show up at the games and be present and help for homework. It just means that we still find ourselves and identity in careers that we've worked on, right? Or other things. And so I just remember that was like the cloud over my head. Like, you get to, because there's so many people that are, going through all these transitions during this time, who can't afford to just one parent stay home and just fine, Right. And yeah, we're super blessed. Like, we didn't struggle or have to go through any major like transitions, but like, that doesn't mean that that's what I wanted. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so that, I guess I didn't know what to call it, but like that was a thing for me. And it made me like hush up about what I wanted to do until we like started this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Like it made me just go, okay, well, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to like, share with other moms how hard I have it. Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what I mean? Like that just, you sound silly, Shon. You sound...
Right.
And
those are the things we tell ourselves when we convince ourselves. It's like, you're doing too much, you're doing the most, it could be worse, like, all of these things.
Yep.
But I do, like, I want to ask, like, where, like, we talked about learned behavior. Mm-hmm. And it's like, where have you seen that? Like, have you figured out where that stemmed from?
Yep. As I struggle with this, oh my God. Hi. Okay. So learned behavior. Learned behavior. I'm laughing because I almost just knocked down my husband's PlayStation, and
I wasn't about to
I'm
say
sweating.
that.
I'm sweating, you guys, because how would I explain that?
Floating on.
I almost I almost knocked it down, and
but she didn't.
But I didn't. So everything's okay, babe. Please don't. Learn behavior. Okay. Behavior. I do. Okay, so I think that as a kid, it's probably not everybody, but like, I do remember a feeling of at least you get to, or it could be worse, when it came to like relationships, when it came to like performance, when it came to, like grades that I got, where it's like, hey, I wanted an A. I thought I deserved an A, you know what I mean? But I got a B or a C, and, at least you passed, instead of like, let's work hard next time and let's make sure, like, there was a mentality that I just was around.
Yeah.
And so when I do think it's learned behavior, I think that it comes in different forms. I remember relationship-wise, just like seeing that there were tolerances that women should put up with. You know what I mean? Because it could be worse. And I remember seeing that in my bubble.
Yeah.
Like, as if like there's only one thing that could break a marriage, which I'm just like, oh, no.
I'm not even married, and I'm like...
like, there are things that I say even now, like, the things that people think are like the end all be all of a marriage, like that's not the worst that can happen in a marriage.
You've legit told me.
Yeah, I've that's not the worst thing. Yeah. Like, trust me, so, but like growing up, it's like there's certain things that I watched happen or I was taught, intentionally or unintentionally.
Yeah.
Where it could be worse. At least he didn't. Mm-hmm. At least they didn't. Or, at least they stayed. At least they came home. Like, it was just so many things that I was just like, well, what are we building boundaries around?
Yeah.
So then I get older and I'm like, now I have more tolerance than boundaries. Mm-hmm. Like, I have more tolerance than like restrictions.
Right.
And that's weird.
Yeah.
Because how am I guarding myself? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so that's just me. We could pick at culture, just our cultural upbringing. Yeah. But like I said, I can only speak for myself. And we talked about this like 2 episodes ago, our last episode about learned behaviors, because we have to unpack that as adults, because I can't bring that into my marriage. I can't take it to my kids. You know what I mean? If I led with that mentality while teaching them, about correction, imagine, what they would think, And so I don't know. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. I have more questions. More questions. Do you think, this idea of toxic gratitude do you think that it has a direct linkage and connection to settling, or letting the bare minimum be enough?
Yeah. Yeah, because you honestly think that you're wrong for wanting more, or you're wrong for pushing the envelope. You know, because I think settling is an accurate word, because if good enough was good enough, like, why would we do more? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If good enough is good enough, then why would we ever require more? In a job, if I knew that all I had to do was make the copies, make the announcements, and take the notes, then that's good enough.
Yeah.
Then I'm settling with what I know, like, will get me by in my job.
Yeah.
And even though I'm going to keep the job and the job is fine, I'm never going to go anywhere there. You know what I mean? I'm never going to push for more. I'm never going to, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know. It is a settling thing. Like, I mean, like I said, I guess for me, it's multifaceted. It's relationships. It's my work. It's, I mean, we know even with this podcast, like, each time we get together, we're like, we want more. Yeah. We want better reach. So we're trying these new things. We're looking at new photographers. We are looking at different advertising tools. Yeah. We are looking at different platforms, and because it's not good enough. But that doesn't mean that there aren't people, or even like our own insecurities in our ear, that's like, I mean, but we were doing fine with audio. Yeah. And we were doing great on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Like, we didn't need to go to YouTube. Right. But you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, we could settle and be doing fine and still be surviving podcast world, but then what? I mean,
right.
What?
It's just like we're at a dead end at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Definitely. What do you think?
I think that, toxic gratitude, as I think about the idea of it, it's definitely settling and leads to a dead end, and leaves you, again, like I'm looking up because I'm still wrestling with it. I'm like, what does it all mean? But it leaves you not like hungry for more. Right. And just leaves you being, like you said, like, enough is enough. And that's, I think, the concept of, for me personally, that's, I cannot sit with that. I cannot sit with being like so satisfied with just like something that's enough, I guess you could say. Yeah, I don't know. It stumps me. This idea really stumps me, because I'm trying to realize, I'm like, it's multifaceted. It shows up like in different, spaces, and then it makes me wonder, like, is it okay for me to settle in certain spaces or not? I don't know.
Well, then I guess it's up to you, because like a lot of this is like our internal thinking because of learned behavior. And a lot of this can be like people around you that either have not accomplished or maybe don't want to accomplish further. And they are like, why aren't you happy with what is happening? Or kind of like what you said, like, why aren't you satisfied? And satisfaction isn't always like the goal. Satisfaction isn't the goal, you know what I mean? Good. Like, you kind of said, like, I can't see myself being satisfied with it. Well, the thing is, you can be satisfied with it, but that doesn't mean that satisfaction is the goal. Yeah.
That's good. Wow.
I might be butchering it, but y'all gonna get this butchered version. There's this like guy that was like, practice makes perfect. And everybody was like, yeah. And he was like, no, debunk that. Practice makes progress, or something like that. And so he was like, you're always gonna want better for your best, like better, better than your best. Yeah. And it does make me think, like, if we really feel like, okay, I want to learn how to knit, I don't know, and now I've learned how to knit. What else? I'm satisfied. It's perfect, but where's the progress? Okay, now I need to learn how to crochet. And now I want to learn how to, I don't know, do all the things that are, I don't know much about
all
that.
The home,
right? Now I want to make all my kids' clothes. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. Yeah. But like, I think that's a better mentality to have, rather than like, hey, I'm going to strive for perfect, or I'm going to strive for satisfaction, and then I'm going to stop there, and that's good. why? You know, why? You know, but you know, you kind of get in this like, you better, you know, you should, you're so lucky. You should feel lucky. You should feel grateful. You should feel, you know, you
the
should
should
be
statements.
right. And then I look at like me and my husband were talking about this actually not too long ago. Like we're in a season that we don't see a lot of growth around us. And that doesn't mean that people aren't growing. They're just not growing the way we want to grow. And that's difficult because we love our family, we love our people, but like we're not speaking the same language right now. We're not speaking about the same things. And so no fault to you, no fault to us, but you are satisfied with your lifestyle. We're not. And although like we might have some similar things, like you're satisfied and we want more. So you're like, I'm good for the rest of my life. And we're like, that can't be it for us. And so me and my husband come home, you know, from certain engagements or interactions, and we're like, this can't be it. Like it can't stop here. But it's also a struggle because you're like, but we should be so happy. You know, we are financially like doing amazing, better than we would ever think. Beautiful home. Our kids are doing things that we would never imagine we do in our childhood. Spiritually, physically, everything is just like, what else? You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's not enough. And it's not a matter of greed, and it's not a matter of gloating. It's a matter of, I have so much more to give this world. And I have so much more to leave my children.
Boom.
So we're struggling with that fight of, but you have everything you need right here. Why mess it up? Why? You know what I mean? Because we're also realistic that every transition takes a transition.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
You know, if you said, hey, like, I love the car that I have, but I want another car. And what that's going to take is maybe you saying, then I'm going to have a season of building up my money and trading this in. And maybe that means that I'll sacrifice this other thing that I really like doing.
Right.
And it might be a quote unquote struggle, but I want my other car. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we all know that, but like, it's easy to be defeated by that internal thought of like, you should be fine. Just settle right here. Just get comfortable.
Like, it's good. But the thing is like, I think sometimes with this idea alone, we're not diminishing our gratitude towards that.
No.
You know, and I think that's where the gray space, you know, creates for people, where it's like, oh, because I'm not constantly acknowledging it means I'm not grateful for it.
Or because you don't think I'm happy here, you know.
Right.
But like, I appreciate a stepping stone. I think we all have appreciated like that season of, you know, you ever say like, I'm glad I went through the bad relationship so I could appreciate the good one. Like, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like, I'm glad that I struggled through this so that I could appreciate this. It doesn't, like you said, it doesn't take away from my appreciation for the now or for this season. But there's nothing wrong with me wanting more and not being penalized for being greedy.
Right. And I think there's so much that's like, just in the age that we live in, it's like we have to overly communicate what we're grateful for, who we're grateful for, what we're grateful for, and it's like at the end of the day, you weren't even there to see how I had to get to the point of to be grateful for this. So why is it that I need to go and broadcast it to you?
Right.
You know, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And I was reading, it just makes me mad. I'm fine. But as I was reading about just gratitude in general, because I was like, okay, let's take the toxicity out of it. Let's talk about gratitude a little bit. And there was a therapist, I was reading one of her articles, and I forget her name, but she had said something I found interesting, that gratitude is something that's like self-induced, unlike other emotions. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? And essentially she was like, happiness or experiencing like happiness or joy, that's an experience. I can't be like, Shon, be happy right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, what are you, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to be like, Shon, can you tell me about something that you're grateful for?
Mm-hmm.
It's a self-induced thing. You can sit and you can actually like think about it, and will the happy emotion come too? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I thought that was something that was super interesting, because I was like, I didn't think about gratitude as something like that I could sit and like self-induce at any moment
Mm-hmm.
of my life. But then she also talked about like the toxic part of it. She was like saying that there's like this toxic positivity that's self-induced as well. And that's the like what we kind of had said earlier. But I have a job and I'm so grateful and my life is good and I'm self-inducing and convincing myself that it's all great. But that's just not what it is. It, at face value, it looks really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really nice. But then that takes away from genuine gratitude, or for you to be able to actually experience what genuine gratitude looks like. And I was so just like mind blown by that.
Dang, that's hard. Because I could see how one overpowers the other. And that's something I've definitely experienced. I almost wonder like how do we know then? Because you speak of like genuine gratitude, then like how do we know the difference? How do we know that we're psyching ourselves out? Or how do we know that like, no, I really am happy here? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, if you thought about it right now, is there a time that you were just like, I'm happy to be here and I'm enjoying myself, but then later you were like, well, was it because I didn't want to be in the other place? You know, or was it because I come from a place that didn't have this?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? A lot of people tolerate relationships because they don't want to be lonely.
Yeah.
A lot of people tolerate jobs because they think that that bad job is the only opposition to being broke and jobless or unemployed.
Yeah.
A lot of people tolerate, I would say, time with their family that might be toxic or might need to be like boundary controlled. A lot of people tolerate that because they're like, well, I'd rather this than to not have family.
Right.
So are we like, how do we know we're enjoying it rather than like, I'd rather this than be by myself, or I'd rather this than
right. I think there's
at least I have a relationship with, you know what I mean? Like what do you
I think there's a level of self-awareness, you know, to have. But I, at least like for me personally, I've had somebody like snatch me out of my body and be like, are you actually good here? Because I'm a person who convinces myself. That's a part of it. I'm like, I do convince myself. I'm like, yeah, it is good. Like when the pandemic happened, I moved in with my parents and I was like, oh, but I'm so blessed.
Yeah.
But I'm so blessed. And it could be worse. And just like all the drama, you're just like, shut up.
You're like,
you know, but
take myself out.
Right. I literally look back, I'm like, you sound like an idiot. Like you were fine.
Crazy.
But I had a moment like that I was like, could be worse, you know, could be all the things. Didn't mean I wasn't appreciative because I was. And there were moments that I was like, I am grateful that I get to have this. But I wanted more for myself. And that was okay. But I convinced myself that it wasn't okay.
And that'll mess you up. I think that messes with that messes with us personally, because I remember, like I said, we talked about this in Learned Behaviors. Like I remember like my relationship with food, how, you know, I was told as a kid, like, you better finish your food because there are people that don't have dinner, that don't, you know, they're starving. And so because of my, like, this guilt, like, because of, like, this idea that, because of this idea that, like, I need to be grateful for whatever this food is because somebody else is not eating at all. No matter if I was enjoying the food, if I was really full, or if like now I'm considered gorging.
Yeah.
I need to convince myself like, you need to finish this because somebody else could be starving right now, or somebody else is starving right now. And so there was a long part of my life where I did not reject food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even now as an adult, I struggle with that because I'm like, when people offer me help, I'm like, I don't need it. Because now I'm like, I don't want to waste resources.
Right.
But I feel guilty. You know what I mean? Like I'll accept it out of guilt or something, right? And I'll struggle with I'll struggle internally because I'm like, saying yes isn't beneficial. I'm wasting resources. You should give that to somebody else, or you should do that for somebody else. I don't need it. You know what I mean? But I just remember a time where, because in the back of my mind, there are people, and that don't have it. I should appreciate it and take it all in.
Yeah. And
that messes with you.
Yeah.
It really does. So it's like you're convincing yourself that you're doing this good deed by, I'm showing appreciation. No, you're wasting resources, actually. And
then you start blurring the lines, and then could potentially get to a point where you don't know what genuine gratitude looks like.
Right.
I was thinking about, like, when you get a gift from someone, and you're like, thank you so much, but you have this, like, guilt that you have to give them something in return. Has that happened to you?
It has. It has. But then,
is that toxic gratitude?
I don't know. Okay, I don't know, because that's like, I think that's just a weird thing we were taught, because that's also, and we could be like going off track here, that's also kind of like, you never want anybody to feel that way, because that's pressure, that's unnecessary pressure. You know what I mean? Like, I might have the financial means to, like, gift you with something.
Yeah.
And right now you're budgeting, and you are like, I'm not budgeting for no random gift. Like, it's not your birthday. You know what I mean? So if I say, like, hey, let me give you this thing, and you now have this, like, mentality of, like, okay, what am I going to give her back? You're creating this unnecessary pressure for yourself, because honestly, anybody that just randomly gives gifts, or anybody that does give a gift, should not give it with intention of reciprocation. Yeah. That's just not how it should work. So in that case, I think that that's us, like, putting unnecessary pressure on ourselves. Like, why? I can show appreciation without breaking the bank, or, like, doing something that's out of my financially successful plan. You know what I mean? Right. And you could have all the money in the world, but if I know I don't have any room to give out random gifts, I'm not doing it. That's something I'm just like, I had to learn the hard way. No, I'm not doing it.
No. Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Because I can still be grateful for you. Yeah. I can still love on you. And there's other ways of showing your gratitude without, this guilt piece, that's involved with it. Because, when I thought about that, I was like, shoot. I'm like, I've been that person. I've been like, thank you so much. I have to return this to you. Or, like, I have to return
I could see how you're tying it in. Yeah. Because I have a friend, someone I consider a sister, who is we're just two different people, and she teaches me so much, and apparently I teach her too. We're very different with our kids. Like, she's very fine providing all the material and doing the things for the children and watching from a distance. I'm the one that'll, like, I'm taking the kids on a hike. Yeah. All 5 of them under 5 years old. And she's like, I would never. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm the one that'll be like, I want to take the kids on a bike ride along, and I'm doing all the active things, and I want to be present. And I have this new arts and craft thing. I want to bake this new thing with the kids. And she's like, yeah, that sounds exhausting to me. Yeah. What I can do is financially prepare all that stuff for you, and I can sit back and take pictures. Yeah. You can be the present parent. You can like sit with them and do the measuring cups and that's something I enjoy, right? Yeah. So what I struggled with at the beginning of our relationship was that, like, oh my God, like, I have to chip in some way, because she's like, I don't care how much it costs. I will pay for it all, because you want the fun with them. It was like both of our kids combined. You know what I mean? And I felt so guilty, because I was like, what do I contribute? And she had to sit me down one day, and she's like, your contribution is the fact that you are just so present. You're so creative. You're so attentive. Yeah. I don't have that. Yeah. And she was just honest about it. She's like, I'm exhausted. I don't want to do this. This doesn't interest me. Yeah. What I can do is financially I could go get the groceries for the recipe you got. Yeah. She was like, you know what I mean? I could pack the lunches for when you take them on the hike.
Right.
She said, she's like, I'll even trail behind y'all and you could just, but it was just having to understand that I was creating that guilt, that toxic gratitude. Like, now I have to do something, you know what I mean? And so it's, I think it happens to the best of us, you know what I mean? Right. And so we did have to have a moment where I was like, wow, like, I have to understand my place in this.
Yeah.
Therefore, once I do that, I'm no longer beating myself up about what I could be doing because she's doing this, how I could be reciprocating, how I could be, providing more. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like you realize what your, I don't even think that this is a phrase, but like your currency of contribution.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's really cool.
And it works so well because I'm not, like, I don't want to just, I don't want to be in the background. I want to be with the kids doing it.
Right.
And it doesn't mean she doesn't want to be with the kids. It doesn't mean that I don't want to, provide for everything. Us doing it together makes this great experience.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's great.
Yeah.
And the kids both remember us being present and being in it. And nobody's left out.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like you said, it's like that awareness of that currency of your contribution.
Yeah. Now
relating that to toxic gratitude, there are times, like I said, that we can fight ourselves and say, man, like, I don't have it. I can't give anything here. Like, we're almost not counting our gift as credibility. You know what I mean? Like, we're almost like, we're just not giving ourselves credit.
Are you saying gift as in like the individual? Like,
no, like, I mean, just as in what we contribute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when you think about gratitude and you're thinking about, we talked about the idea that, at least it could be worse, or like, don't overdo it. Right. When it comes to us contributing in different situations, I think that we kind of beat ourselves up and we're more focused on the negative rather than the positive of like what we can do and what we can contribute.
Right.
You know what I mean? And instead of us like holding value to like what we can bring to the table, we're like, this isn't enough.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way I'm enough in this position. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's just sad. Like, now sitting here and thinking about it, I'm like, how many times have we put ourselves in those situations time and time and time again? From even like, at least for me personally, I'm like, I actually think I see it more in adulthood than ever.
Well, yeah, because you're like, by the time you're an adult, it plays out like you're more responsible for things.
Absolutely.
So like everything that you've learned.
Right. You're like, now you got money behind it. Right. Now you're in charge of your time.
You gotta take care of kids and humans.
You gotta take care of your... I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I know. I love them.
I know.
I love them so much. But yeah, the responsibilities that you have is so much more, and you realize what you have to give. What you have to contribute. Even like your awareness of what you're grateful for is so much more prominent and at the forefront, so it's much easier when you have, open eyes or whatever, and you have awareness of things, all of it comes positive and negative. And it's just like, it's a battle between like, which one do you see first? Which one do you cling to first? Back to the question of like, how do you know if it's toxic gratitude or genuine gratitude? I don't know if there's an answer. I don't think that there's an outright answer, but
I think it's something we're working on finding out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like one of those open-ended things, because this topic actually like is challenging for me. And I feel like it's everywhere. Like, I feel like it's messy. Like, I struggle with it because I don't know where I'm doing it, and I don't know if I've overcome it, and I don't know what I'm exposing about it. Like, I don't know where it's seeping out. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about it, and it's a new thing you brought up, but like, I can honestly say like, this is something I still struggle with, and I don't, like, I'm unclear even sometimes about where it goes. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like it's this puzzle piece, and I'm like putting it, like seeing if it fits in different, like how is it applicable, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of things with us. But this, I guess, like, I feel like everything else I have figured out. Boundaries.
Yeah.
Right? Like, respect and knowing, you know, knowing when to say what, communication.
Yeah.
Relationship. I feel like I have all those other things, like I have an idea of it. But like toxic gratitude is one that I'm struggling with. And it's confusing.
Yeah, it really is. At this moment, right now, I'm in my mid-20s. Literally, I'm like, nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm just like, for me, nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm just like trying to figure it out. And like with this idea, there's, you know, like you said, puzzle pieces are like bits and things that I'm like, this makes sense here. But I thought it would make sense here, but it makes no sense here whatsoever. Right. You know, so it's like I'm going back and forth, or like I can share things I'm grateful for, like with you, but I won't share with other people. And I'm like, am I being toxic in them? Like, what is happening and what's going on? Right. So that's my grapple.
I don't know. And it's just like, it's just like, and this is just real, you guys. Like I don't know. I think this is something that I'm just like gonna have to like forever be working on, because I can see it happening on a day-to-day basis where like I want the house cleaned. You know, like right now I'm going through this nesting stage and I want it done perfectly. But like my husband is like the military cleaner. He is like, if you tell him to clean something, it's going to get cleaned perfectly. He's like the follow. I will follow all the directions. Right. Whereas I'm the type that I'll do the cleaning and then I'll do extra stuff around it, because my train of thought is everything else. He will target the one thing. Yeah. And be like, this is it. Whereas like I'll be like, oh, I'm cleaning the living room, but then the living room is connected to the hallway and the bathroom and all that. So I'll find myself in different rooms completing it. Right. Right. And so then I get this, like, he'll do one thing or whatever I need him to do because he's super helpful. But I'll say, like, it wasn't done the way I needed it to be done. And I'll say, like, but, like, he did it. Yeah. And that's something that I'm fine with being, like, this, like, that gratitude. Like, yeah. But it got done. Yeah. It might not happen the way I thought it would, but it got done. Yes. You know, I'm about to have my third kid, and God forbid, the healing process looks different this time, and I'm like down for a while. I'm going to have to be very okay with him cooking differently or doing certain things with the kids that I might not do. Right. That's one of those times where I'm like, at least it got done. Yeah. And that's not something I feel bad about. That's not something that's toxic. That's not something I wouldn't show gratitude about. And so I look at that like, is that that's where this gets confusing. That's where this kind of is like, I'm not gonna, what is it? Bite the hand that feeds me. Like, yeah. If I got a dude that cooks and cleans like nobody's business, I love that.
A man gets the job done.
So I'm not, if it doesn't happen the perfect way that I want it, is it livable? Right. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Did you
Can
sanitize?
I see my floors?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's enough. So I don't know. Like I said, this topic is, it's something that I think I need more clarity on. Like I'm struggling with.
Definitely. I know that I'm like, I need to go into a deep dive with it, because I've even like, played with the thought of, is it seasonal? Can it be a seasonal thing? Where it's like you said, boundaries. Like, no, boundaries is not seasonal. That needs to be.
No, set those things up and keep them.
Right. Make that happen. How you communicate, that's not a seasonal thing. Like, things change, context change, but, stay true to that. But, yeah, with toxic gratitude, I'm like, okay, is it, like you said, I see it's different. My needs are different. What I'm, grateful for is different in different seasons. And I think that might be applicable, but I don't know. Right. At the same time. This one's, same for me. Like, I struggle with it, and I don't fully understand it. I do think that it's really interesting because just to give a little more context of like how it got brought about for me is that I was reading an article, and it was old. I think it was from 2020.
Uh-huh.
And so it's something that came out of the pandemic, you know, because it's like, I should be grateful that I'm not sick. I should be grateful that, you know, all these things. I should be grateful for where I'm at because of what's going on in the world and all of this. But yet it diminished other things. It diminished, you know, I was reading specifically the Women's Health magazine, and so it was just focused on women, but it was like, we're diminishing that we shouldn't be able to take space in whatever our space is. Diminishing that we can't, you know, influence spaces, or it's diminishing that I'm just frustrated with where I'm at. Yeah, I'm happy a roof is over my head, but I don't want to be here. So.
And it's okay. It's okay for you to have those feelings. Yeah, I could see that.
And that's something that was really big that I took out of her. I'm even just like continuing to take out of it, because in that that same therapist that I had mentioned earlier, she had said, like, just because you're trying to avoid that negative emotion that this is trying to tell you that you don't need to be involved in, it doesn't mean that it goes away.
Right.
It just sits there and it festers and it creates, you know, something that's will eventually boil over. And then what are you going to do? You're definitely not going to be grateful when that happens.
No, not at all. Yeah, I don't know, because, yeah, you're right. If you don't address it, like, it'll kind of blow up. But, yeah, this, that is true. It's, like I said, this is something I'm just going to have to sit with a little longer, because sometimes I'm okay with the toxic gratitude. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, because I feel like, even if at the end of it all, you know, is it toxic gratitude, or is it just accepting somebody's progress? You know, or accepting your progress. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I was really training for this marathon and I didn't get the time that I wanted to, but at least I finished it. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? At least I tried, you know? I don't know. I think about that kind of thing. Like, so I don't know. It's so you stumped me on this one. Like, I don't know. I don't know how you thought this episode was gonna go.
I don't either. Honestly, I'm glad that I brought the stump to you in person, and I sat in my car alone. Stump.
You just confused the heck out of me on this entire episode. So there you have it. Thank you, listeners. I don't know.
I don't stump her often, but when I do,
it's just it's like the one out of a million. Look at you.
Literally, I'm like, I gotta get her one. But I think what I'm excited for, that, you know, we're gonna do a part 2 about this, and we're about to really sit down and.
Yeah, now I have to, like, it's like surprise attack, and then you're gonna give me time to, like,
sit with it, figure it out, make your timeline, because I'm like,
let's hope I'm a better person by the time we go through part 2 of this. But then that's, you know, then that's a great thing, you know, that it's a part 2, because you guys, I want to know what you guys think, and it is such a vague, like how is that applicable to you all? Like, is that something that you guys go through? What does toxic gratitude look like for y'all? And let us know, you know, because now I guess, like, I'm wanting to dig deeper and find out, is this something that I'm really struggling with? Is it something that I'm aware of? And then how am I handling it, or what's going to be better for me? You know what I mean? Yeah. And like, I would love to just take the time to sit with myself on this. But you guys, we want to hear from you, you know, and we'll be sure to check in with you guys during the week. What do you think that toxic gratitude looks like in your life? How are you handling it? And I don't know if you kind of agree with me. Like, is it such a bad thing sometimes? Yeah. Is it so bad that we need to fix it and get rid of it, or, you know, debunk it altogether? Because there's times that it works. It provides grace. Yeah. It provides acceptance of progress, or, you know, motivation to do better. So, yeah, you know, let us know. Yeah.
We want to hear from you. This has been fun, interesting, challenging. Yeah. This is probably one of the more challenging thoughts that I've had
know. Recently. Like, I don't. Because I even don't do this, like, again.
Right. It's one of those, like, oh, you finally put words to something, and then you're like, I don't know if I wanted the words to that question.
Right. And then it's like we get on here and we unpack it and I'm like, this was a bad idea.
Right. Because after the
this
fact.
This is nerve-wracking.
Right.
We're glad that you guys have so much patience for it, but this is nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But, just food for thought. So, so yeah, I guess until next week.
See you then.
See you guys. Bye.